All right, guys, so our last section here is going to be Earth's history. That is 20.3. Hopefully the first two are done and you're done with all that work and done with the quiz. This last one will be fairly short. So let's get into it. Here are your learning objectives. All right, so mysteries of life's origin. So when we look at the origin of life, we know that the geological and astronomical evidence suggests that Earth formed as different pieces of cosmic debris collided. So over millions of years, there was volcanic activity on Earth. Comets and asteroids were raining down on its surface. And then about 4.2 billion years ago, Earth cooled down enough to allow solid rocks to form. And then water was able to condense, which formed oceans. This infant planet, or this baby planet, was totally different than Earth is today. So the atmosphere didn't contain oxygen. It was very little oxygen. It was mostly carbon dioxide, water vapor, and nitrogen, and then small amounts of carbon monoxide and hydrogen sulfide, and even hydrogen cyanide, right? So if you take my forensics class, you'll learn all about cyanide. But because of these gases, the sky was probably a very pinkish orange and not, the beautiful blue that we have now. We know that many of the basic building blocks of life form naturally in our solar system. We have found meteorites and comets with several amino acids that are used by living organisms to make proteins. So all of these things were carried to Earth by these asteroids and these comets, and then the environment of our planet combined with those help lead to life. All right, so the Miller-Urey experiment. So in 1953, Stanley Miller and Harold Urey tried to test the hypothesis that organic compounds could have been produced on Earth. So first step was they heated water and water vapor formed. Then they added a mixture of methane, ammonia, and hydrogen to that water vapor. After that, the circulating gases were bombarded by sparks of electricity. And then cold water cooled the chamber, causing droplets to form. Okay. After a week, the liquid is collected, and it was found to contain amino acids and other organic compounds that weren't originally there, right? So heating it, exposing it to electricity, cooling it, condensing it, just by doing that, they were able to form amino acids, right, which is the basis of life. RNA first. So this slide is talking about the idea that RNA developed first before DNA. Okay, and if you think about it, it makes a whole lot of sense. RNA is a much simpler molecule. The organisms that have only RNA tend to be much simpler and more primitive organisms. So the evidence all kind of suggests that RNA rather than DNA was that first information carrying molecule. Molecules that are important to metabolism like ATP, NADH, coenzyme A are built around RNA like nucleotides. So this is showing that inorganic matter can change into simple organic molecules, and that can start to make RNA nucleotides. RNA is able to replicate itself, right? And then it synthesizes proteins and functions in information storage. And that could have led to three things, right? So DNA, RNA and protein synthesis, and then proteins building cell structures and catalyzing chemical reactions. All right, origin of the eukaryotic cell. So when we talk about the cell, right, we have a bunch of organelles in it, and that is the big thing, is where did these organelles come from? And the simple answer is that there is a scientist, I believe her name was Lynn Margulis, I think, in the 60s, and she came up with the idea of endosymbiosis. So endosymbiosis literally translates to living together within. So with the idea of endosymbiosis, it's saying basically that eukaryotic cells were formed when different types of cells joined in kind of a merger, right? So we know about symbiotic relationships, we know about organisms living on and within one another, and this is what this endosymbiosis idea proposes. So we look here, we have ancient aerobic bacteria and an ancient anaerobic prokaryote, okay, and they form kind of bond together and start working together. And this could have created mitochondria. We could also have primitive photosynthetic or ancient photosynthetic bacteria that became primitive chloroplasts, right, which would have led to the plants. All right, and our last slide. So this photo is of a bacterium with flagella. So cilia are little small projections. They're typically found on the bacteria's actual body. Flagella are these tails. So if you've ever seen video of sperm, you can kind of equate their tail to the flagella, right? So the earliest cells may have produced proteins using RNA alone. This RNA became the ribosome, and then proteins were added to improve efficiency. Flagella were assembled from protein subunits that serve other purposes elsewhere in the cell. So these structures show how cells can reuse their proteins for different purposes. All right, so that is 20.3. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Go ahead and complete the content in the BPS Pearson New app and take the quiz. Once you're done with all of that, you do have the Unit 5 test, and it is going to be a test. From here on out, I'm probably going to just give you a chapter test. They'll be a little bit shorter, more concise. Obviously, we have no idea how long we're going to be teaching virtually, so I think that'll be a little easier on you guys. So just kind of plan on that from here on out. So every week you'll have a test on the chapter that we did that week. Make sure you check in. If you have any questions, please let me know. And I hope you have a wonderful day.